Alright, sorry about the weird start, guys. The video is being weird, so anyway, this is where we are. This is the very first question. Let's read it real quick. We'll go over it, okay? Good morning. So it says Elaine has collected 12,693 different rocks. That's where this number is here throughout the years. But she found 368 more rocks, right? So she's found more rocks. So that means she's probably going to add that, but let's keep reading. She found more rocks this weekend at camp. How many rocks does she have in her collection now? Okay, so she found those rocks. She added those rocks to her collection, right? So we're going to add with just some standard algorithm, and let's see how many rocks she has now. So I know that 8 plus 3 will give you 11. 9 plus 1 is 10. 10 plus 6 is 16. For me, I'm going to say 1 plus 3 is 4, and 4 plus 6 is 10. But you guys can add however it is you want, so long as it makes sense. 2 plus 1 is 3, and I drop my 1. And so now I know that in order to answer my question, how many rocks does she have in her collection now, that answer is going to be 13,061 rocks. Let's go to the very next one. Okay, this one I like because we can organize it a little bit better. It says Kevin scored 172 points. And here, let's do this. I'm going to say that's going to be number 1, and I'll work on number 2 on the other side. We'll try to balance it out. And that way, both you and I can stay organized. So here will be question number 2, and we'll work on that side, okay? So Kevin scored 172 points in his first basketball season, okay? He scored 479 points in his second basketball season, and in his third season he scored 584 points. How many points did he score in those 3 seasons, okay? So let's organize here, okay? I'm going to write 1, 2, 3. And those are going to represent his basketball seasons. In his first season, he scored 172 points. In his second season, he scored 479 points. And in his third season, he scored 584 points. The question, the thing they want to know, is how many points did he score in those 3 seasons, right? So that means we're going to have to combine these 3 seasons. Now you can stack them all on top of each other. That's perfectly fine. Or you could just take it bit by bit. I'm going to take it bit by bit. I'm going to add my first season and my second season. So I'm going to say 172 points plus 479 points. How many points is that going to give me? Let's add it up. 9 plus 2 is 11. 7 plus 7 is 14. Plus 1 is 15. 4 plus 1 is 5. Plus 1 is 6. So far, in his first and second season, he scored 651 points. But we need to know how many points he scored in all 3 seasons. So we have to add that third season, which we know he scored 584 points in. I'm going to cross it out because we've already used it. Now let's solve. 4 plus 1 is 5. 8 plus 5 is 13. And 5 plus 6 is 11. 11 plus 1 is 12. So how many points did he score in all 3 seasons? Well, he scored 1,235 points. That's not too bad. That's not too bad. So good job, Mr. Kevin. Let's move on to number 3. I like number 3 a lot because we get practice with regrouping or borrowing, right? So let's talk about that. It says Fiona has 10,000 text messages she can use each month. Okay. Last month, she used 8,392 text messages. How many text messages were remaining? So how many text messages does she have left in that month? Well, if we're regrouping or if we're borrowing, then we're gonna have to subtract, right? She had a total of 10,000 text messages that she can use for that month, right? Well, she's already used 8,000, what was it, 392. So think about money, right? If you have $10,000 for that month, but you've spent $8,000 or $8,392, how can you determine what you have left? Well, you would simply subtract. And that's exactly what we're going to do here. So, we have our 10,000, we have our 8,300, and just to make sure it was 92, perfect, excellent, cool. So, I can't take 2 from nothing, right? I can't buy something that's worth $2 with no money. I can't do it. They won't let me. So I gotta borrow. But I go next door, no one's home, so I have to borrow. When I go next door, no one's home, so I have to borrow. So I go next door, and finally somebody's home. And they let me borrow. But guess what? They still need to borrow. So my 10 becomes a 9. But they still need to borrow. So my 10 becomes a 9. But they still need to borrow. So my 10 becomes a 9. Now finally I can stop borrowing because I have what I need to get by. 10 minus 2 will give you 8. 9 minus 9 will give you nothing. 9 minus 3 will give you 6. 9 minus 8 will give you 1. Therefore, if she had 10,000 texts originally for that month, but she used 8,392 texts, then we need to find out, okay, well, how many texts does she have left to use in that month? Well, we now know that she used 1,000, or that she has 1,608 text messages left. Or if it's money, if you had $10,000 and you used $8,392, how much money do you have left for that month? You would still have $1,608, okay? I'm gonna get a new one because we're out of space. So let's move on to number 4. New paper. All right. New paper is up. Perfect. Let's move on to number 4. Number 4, it says Kyle bought. All right. Kyle bought 98 feet of wood to build a sandbox. I think that's a typo. I think it's supposed to be a treehouse. Okay, all good. So Kyle bought 98 feet of wood to build a treehouse. He needs 837 more feet than that to build a treehouse. All right, so this one's going to be number 4. Okay, so how many feet of wood does Kyle need in order to build that treehouse? So let's talk about what he needs, what he has. So Kyle has, right, what does Kyle have? He has 98 feet. What does he need? He needs, oh my God, he needs 800. Why did I do that? Sorry, he needs 837 more feet than that to build a treehouse. So how many feet of wood does Kyle need in order to build a treehouse? Now this one's interesting because it's saying this is what Kyle has, but it also says that he needs this much more, right? He needs this much more. So this is one of those tricky ones where you can go in between, oh man, are we adding, are we subtracting? I'm not sure. In this case, if this is what he has, but he needs this much more, then we're going to be adding, right? They're not saying this is what he has, this is what he needs. How much more does he need? They're saying he needs this much more than. So we're gonna add these two together. This one's gonna be 37 plus 98. Let's add. So 8 plus 7, that's going to give me 15. 9 plus 1 is 10. 10 plus 3 is 13. 8 plus 1 is 9. So how many feet of wood does Kyle need in order to build his treehouse? Well, including the amount he still needs, in addition to the amount that he has, that's how much feet he needs to actually build that treehouse. Okay. So that one's can be tricky. I can see how it can be interpreted two different ways. But again, these keywords, more, and how it's used, how much more, how many more, that's going to be subtraction. But if it's just saying, you have an amount and then you need this much more than the amount that you have, then obviously we're going to be adding in those particular cases. So let's keep going. Let's keep going. Number 5. Lauren, let's write this here. Number 5. All right, guys. It says Lauren has received 1,284 postcards from different cities around the world. Okay. 838 of them are from cities inside the United States. How many postcards are from outside of the United States? Okay. So Lauren has received a lot of postcards, okay? She has a total of 1,284 postcards, okay? Cool. So her total postcards is 1,284. Cool. However, we can break that up. We can dissect that, right? We can decompose. And that's exactly what we're going to do. So we're going to take this total and we're decomposing it into 2 separate different totals, essentially. I know, at least they're telling me, that 838 of them are from cities in the U.S. So I know that cities in the United States, she has 838 postcards from cities in the U.S. All right, in the U.S. Perfect. What the question is asking is how many postcards are from outside of the United States? Okay. So we need to find out what's on the outside. How many postcards came from outside of the United States? We got to find that out. Well, the only way we can really find that out is get the 2 pieces of information we have, right? And if I have a total and I have a part right here, not of a whole, but I just have a part of the equation that I need to find this missing piece. I need to find the difference between this number and that number. And I'm saying in my head, the difference in math means subtraction. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to subtract the amount of postcards inside the United States from her total amount of postcards from around the entire world, including in the United States and outside of the United States. So let's go ahead and do that. We'll get a different color here. So, we don't know this number yet. We need to find that out. And in order to find that out, I'm subtracting this number from our total. So, let's do that here. 1,284 minus the other piece of information we know, which is the amount of postcards from inside the U.S. The question is asking for the amount outside. So I can't take 8 from 4. I'm going to borrow. That's a 7. That's a 14. 14 minus 8 will give you 6. 7 minus 3 will give you 4. I can't take 8 from 2, so I'll borrow, and that's a 12. 12 minus 8, or the distance between 8 and 12, is 4. So now I know that the amount of postcards I got, or that she got rather, from outside of the United States was 446. And if you were to add 446 to 838, you'd get her total amount of postcards from, again, both inside and outside of the US, which means from around the world. Okay? Good. Let's keep going. Let's do number 6, and we can still do it on this paper. It should be just fine. Because number 6 is a little simple. Francesca sold over 7,481 cookies for her Girl Scout club, and her teammate Josie has sold 8,374 more than Francesca. Woo! How many cookies did Josie sell? So that's a lot of cookies, okay? That really is. So Francesca, so this is going to be number 6. Francesca, okay? She sold more than, because it says over, but they're giving us the number 7,481. Perfect. So she sold over that amount of cookies. But her teammate Josie sold 374 more. So she's stuck. This is her total. She's stopped, right? She was on the racetrack. That's it. She ran out of gas. That's her number. Josie sold more than that. How much more? That much more. So we're going to combine those two numbers to find out how many cookies Josie actually sold. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to put my number of greater value on top. Not that it really matters, that's just how I like to organize it. And I'm going to add these numbers. 4 plus 1 is 5. 7 plus 8 is going to be 15. 7 plus 4, 3 plus 4 is 7. 7 plus 1 is 8. And 8 plus 7 is going to be 15. So even though this is a good amount of cookies to be sold, Josie sold that many cookies because she sold that much more. And that is a lot of cookies. I hope that whoever she sold those cookies to doesn't have stomach ache, because that's just a lot of cookies, man. Alright, I'm going to do a couple more with you guys, and then I'm going to let you do the rest on your own. Or I'm going to do one more. How about that? Let's do one more. I'm going to let you do the rest on your own. I think you can do it. Eventually I'll be able to go live so that you guys can ask questions and stuff like that. I apologize for any weirdness and for it not working out the way I guess I thought it might. Okay, last one, guys. Let's work on this. It says, Mr. Kinsler, he bought 838 pencils this summer. Okay, so Mr. K. Mr. K. He has 838 pencils. Cool. Let's draw a pencil real quick. Cool. So Mr. K, he has 838 pencils. Excellent. His students have used. Okay, so his students have used 300. So Mr. K's students used, okay? They have used. If you use something, generally speaking, not always, right? But when it comes to pencils, when you use a pencil, and by this case, in this case, when we mean use, like all the way, you can't use it anymore, you can't sharpen it anymore, it's gone, right? So if you use it, we no longer have it. And these students have used, right? We no longer have these used pencils. They used 349 of them. Cool, excellent, not a big deal. So if they've used these pencils, they've spent these pencils, we can no longer get these pencils back. The order of operation we're gonna do here is simple subtraction. And we're going to subtract 349 from the original amount of pencils that Mr. K bought. So let's just do that real quick. We'll do it right here. We have 838 minus 349. Yay. But I can't take 9 from 8, so I have to borrow. My 3 becomes a 2, and my 8 becomes an 18. 9 is half of 18, so 18 minus 9 is 9. I can't take 4 from 2, so I have to go next door and borrow. My 8 becomes a 7. My 2 becomes a 12. 12 minus 4 is 8. And 7 minus 3 is 4. Therefore, Mr. K still has 489 pencils. I would love to have 489 pencils in my life. Guys, I hope this helped, okay? Simple, super easy strategies. Take your time. Make sure you're reading exactly what they're asking you. You're looking you're doing exactly what they're looking for you to do. Make sure your place values are all lined up. Make sure you're starting from the ones place. So